Sophronia Strong Hall was built on the University of Tennessee campus in 1925 and was the university's first female residence hall. Strong Hall, as university students call it, was financed by a generous donation from Mr. Benjamin Rush Strong, who had the building named in honor of his mother. Ashley Moyer, former director of Strong Hall, was able to give insight as to what life was like for students who lived in Strong Hall prior to its final closing in the spring of 2008.
I'd always, when I was a student at UT, I'd lived in other residence halls, and I always heard about how much girls love to live in Strong Hall, which I thought was so interesting because most of the rooms didn't have any air conditioning. It was so old. I thought, that's just a weird place to live. Why would people love to live there so much? And when I became a hall director, there were a couple different buildings that were available to work in, and I thought to myself, I really want to work in this little old building and see what it's like, see what everybody's been talking about. And from the first day, it would be so funny, we would give tours. The first year that it was supposed to have closed, we reopened it. So all the girls that moved in were freshmen. So a lot of the building prior to when I moved in was all seniors and law school students, actually upperclassmen. So this first group of freshmen that moved in, I think a lot of them were like, where in the heck am I living? Everybody else is like these nice rooms with this nice new furniture. And immediately there's just a sense of community. I mean, it was only about I think we had at most maybe 250 residents living in there, where most buildings would have hundreds more. And you immediately just got to know each other. There was a small little front desk area that everybody pretty much had to pass through, very small areas, so you really couldn't get through the door without seeing each other, which I think really added to everything. We also had communal space. We had a very big, literally a living room right in the middle of right past the front desk. So hardwood floors, hardwood walls, old furniture, a huge piano that was in there that was probably 100 years old, literally. It was this huge old beautiful piano that girls would play. So it was just really like what you would think of when I think of what it would be like to live in a residence hall in the 50s and 60s. It was almost preserved in that way, and it looked the same, I felt like, as it would have 50 years ago even. So I think the atmosphere of the building added so much to why people loved it so much.
Students who lived in Strong Hall were able to enjoy many of the events that resident assistants currently hold in other dormitories, but also enjoyed celebrating the history of the building and its founder.
The Residence Hall Association and the RAs did constant programming. One of the things that I recall every year on February 17th, we would have a birthday party for Sophie. So we celebrated Sophie's birthday, and a lot of the books that you would read would say, especially the ghost stories, would say that she would appear on her birthday in this big mirror that we had in the lobby, which is in that living room that I was talking about earlier. She never appeared in the mirror, but we always would have a birthday cake and have a big birthday celebration for Sophie on her birthday. And we would also try to make that an opportunity to highlight the history of the building and put old pictures up and stuff like that so the girls got to see what it was like years ago, which is really interesting.
Jerry Adams, Director of Housing at the University of Tennessee, was able to explain the structural complexity of Strong Hall and how its residents embraced its non-standard design.
Almost every room in the building was a different size and shape. Some rooms had hardwood floors, some had air conditioning, some did not, some had carpet, some had tile floors. Some rooms had private baths, some was community bath, and some were suite style baths. Some were single, some were doubles. So it was a hodgepodge of rooms. And so students, many times their freshman year, before room selection went online, they would camp out all night in the lobby so they could get a better room for the second year. And so it was a big deal to camp out so you could get your room for a second year. And especially to get an air-conditioned room. There were very few of those, but it was just a place that people didn't want to be to start with usually. But then we would have a ton of seniors living there that lived there for all 4 years because they loved living in Strong. Once they got there, that was their identity.
Strong Hall was considered an economic deficit because it would cost too much money for the university to remodel and keep living rates at a reasonable price. The building sits empty for now next to Clement Residence Hall until it becomes the new Anthropology Department building as a part of the University of Tennessee 25-year beautification plan.